To finish up this chapter, let's review what we've talked about with a little project. We'll just go over a few simple steps that will allow us to practice some of the concepts in this chapter and maybe give you a little hint of some things to come. Most of the chapters are going to have a similar project at the end, and many of them will build upon the previous one, culminating in our end of the video big main project that we're going to do. So let's get started. What we're going to do is draw a few shapes, some rectangles and triangles, but we're going to use different methods to do this with. So first we need a file to work with. If you're not in the new tab already, you can just click on the plus sign there in the tabs, and that will bring up the new tab for you. Go to the Get Started area and click on Templates. We're going to use the autocad.dwt template file. Now before we can get started, it's a good idea to save our file ahead of time. That way we know we're working in the right file, and whenever we save our progress, it will be saved. So go up to the application menu and click on the Save button. This will allow us to save our file. Browse to the location where we're going to save your files at. I am going to call this file Chapter 4 Project. I have a file that I've already started where I tested out all of my settings and everything that I'm going to use for this to make sure I was doing it correctly. I'm just going to override that. You'll have this file with your DVD, and it'll be available for you to check on, to kind of get a look at it and to compare it to what you're doing. I'll do that with all of the projects. I'll give you an example file of what we've done. And that way you can check your work and make sure that you're on the right page, so to speak. So here we are, Chapter 4 project. We have the file started. It is saved. So we want to make sure our units are set up correctly. Type in the word units on the command line and press enter. Now I want to use architectural drawing length type of units, and we're going to go in inches. So make sure this is set to inches on your insertion scale option settings. 1/16 precision is enough. The angles for here are perfectly fine for what we're going to do, and then click OK. Now, as you work on your file, I've mentioned it before, you need to save early and save often. So we've done the save early. Now we've made some changes. Now let's save our file. Press the Control key and the S button on your keyboard. This will execute a quick save. So it just saves the state of your file wherever it is at that moment, and it saves it and it keeps it. So we have our units set up properly in our saved file. So if something happens to our computer, to AutoCAD or to anything, it just crashes, which will happen, I haven't lost any of my work. So let's begin. Make sure your grid is turned on because I want to demonstrate how the grid in snap mode works to you. So if it's not, you can press the F7 key, or you can come down to the status bar and click on the little icon here. This is the grid icon. If it's blue, it's on. If it's gray, it's turned off. Now let's draw a rectangle. Go to the Home tab in the ribbon on the Draw panel, and here is the rectangle command. Click it, and you can just draw a rectangle anywhere of any size and shape. I just want to give you an idea of what it looks like relative to the grid, because now we're going to change the grid. We're also going to turn on snap mode. So press the F9 key or come down to the status bar and click on the snap to drawing grid option, snap mode. Now we need to go to these settings. Click on the little flyout arrow, click on snap settings, or you can type on the keyboard OS. That will also bring up your drafting settings window dialog, which is what we have here. But make sure you are on the snap and grid tab. Snap should be on, grid should be on. Now we want to go to our snap spacings for our X and Y. We're going to use the same settings for both of these, and it's going to be 10. Click 10. If you press enter, this is what happens. It closes that window. That's okay. Just type in OS and go to the snap and grid tab. Now you can see it did set our X and Y spacing for us the way we wanted to. So if you're just changing this one item, type it in, press enter, and it saves a couple of steps. It's real quick and fast. But we want to do some more settings here. We're going to change the grid settings now so that our grid lines actually matched where we're snapping to. So we're going to change this also to 10 units. Now we have 10 and 10 throughout. Make sure your other settings match. Click OK. Now you'll see here now our grid has visually changed. So our grid reflects that every line is 10 units away or some factor of that. As we zoom in and out, you'll see that they kind of gets a little bigger or smaller, but they're relative to each other. Now, one thing you may have noticed as what's going on right now, I can't zoom out any farther. Sometimes that'll happen. And sometimes when you pan, it gets locked in and you can't pan anymore. If that happens, it's just a glitch in AutoCAD. Type in REA for Regen All and press enter. Now I can zoom in and out. It's going to happen often to you as you zoom out and zoom in, especially when you zoom in or zoom out really, really far. So that'll happen. Just type in REA and it'll loosen things up for you. Now I want to get rid of this rectangle. Select it and then press the delete key on your keyboard. That will do the same thing as erasing it. Or select it and click on the erase command from the ribbon. Or type in erase, E-R-A-S-E, press enter, select your object, and then press enter again. Now remember, a lot of commands like erase, move, or copy, you can either select the objects first and then start the command, or you can start the command and then select the objects. Just a matter of preference for you. Okay, now we're going to draw a couple of shapes. Snap mode is on, grid is on. I'm going to demonstrate to you two different ways of drawing triangles. This is our origin right here. We want to be close to it because I'm going to draw a triangle in this area right around here with absolute coordinates. But before we do that, I want to demonstrate to you snap mode. I'm going to show you how easy it is to draw shapes and things very quickly. Start your line command, and we're going to draw a triangle. Now that it has started, the line command, you can see I'm trying to pick my first coordinate point. My snap mode is keeping me in line with my grid. Now that's very handy because it lets me know I'm drawing at units of 10. Every line is 10 inches. So that's great. So I just left click and I drew my line starting right there. I'm drawing a triangle, so I'm coming straight down. I'm going to draw a right triangle. That's a 45 triangle. I'm going to click down here as well. You can see I have my two lines. And now I'm just going to close my triangle, left clicking up there, press enter, and there we go. Using my scroll wheel to zoom out and to pan. So that was a quick and easy triangle. If I start my line command again, I can start anywhere I want on my grid and draw several different shapes. So the snap mode with the grid, especially when they're both lined up together, makes it very easy to draw shapes very quickly. So you can do a lot of quick sketching this way. But if you want to get precise, you can. So I'm going to start the line command again. I'm going to draw another triangle, but I'm going to start it at coordinate 1, 6. To do that, you just type in the coordinates 1, 6, after, of course, you've started the line command. Press enter. Now my snap mode is still on, so it's keeping me at these 10-inch grid marks. So I want to draw a line though that's perfectly horizontal. I can't with the snap mode this way, but you can override it with your coordinates. Now I want to draw it at an absolute value coordinate of 11, 6. So in order to do that, I need the hashtag or the pound sign. Type that in first, then type in your coordinates, 11, 6. Press enter. And there it is. Now I want to draw a line that's straight up at 3 units. I don't want to do the math to try to figure out what coordinate that is. That's okay. I can use what's called a polar coordinate system. I use the @ symbol this time. So I start with the @ symbol, type in my length, which is 3 units long, press the tab key, and then I want to draw it at 90 degrees. Press enter, and there's my other leg for my triangle. Now I want to close this. Now my other triangles over here on the right, I just went to my snap point and I was able to just click there and it drew exactly what I wanted. But because this coordinate isn't on one of those grid points on my line in snap mode, I can't just do that. Well, there is an option in the line and the polyline command called close. If I just type in CL for close, it'll close my shape and end the command. And there we go. So I drew essentially 2 different triangles and 2 different methods that were very easy to do. Some of them were more precise and some of them were fairly precise with the snap mode, but yet it was very quick and easy to do. As you can see, this method took a little bit more time and effort. Now, when do you use them? Well, it depends on the information that you have at hand and what you're trying to do at the time. So we'll take a look at a lot of these different types of methods throughout the rest of this training video.